Yeah, good morning. So now we're done with yesterday getting the data from Microsoft into HANA, right, using BODS. ECC to HANA, Microsoft to HANA. There was something which I left in the boards part was transformations. We have different types of transformations majorly used in the market, out of which I discussed in detail about the query transformation and case transformations, right? Hmm? It's okay. As in the transformation, we have platform, right? So I give you some work, and so you have to submit me an assignment by this Friday. Today is Wednesday, right? By Friday or Saturday, you have to work on these transformations. Okay, you just have to see the map transformation. Then I just go map, merge, row generation, and SQL. These are the four more transformations. Merge transformation, row generation, and say SQL transformation. So these are the four more transformations we do have. Okay. So I'm giving you guys a work. You have to work on this four transformation. And what work you have to do? What you have to submit me first. So what is this map transformation? What is the significance of the map transformation? What are the properties of map transformation? And third, so come with two examples and two scenarios. Okay, how we use the map transformation? What is the expected results? Okay, what is the source data? Okay, map transformation and expected results. Right? Just explain the two scenarios. At least one scenario. Okay, so where the map transformation was used. Same for merge also. What is merge transformation? So what are the properties of merge transformation and then scenario in which merge transformations were used. So ఒక్కొక్కదానికి 3 points you have to answer it. At least like four transformations. It should be like 8 pages document, 8 to 10 pages minimum. Okay. So you all will be submitting this assignment by Friday. If you are working, Saturday end of the day. I'm giving you 1 day extra. Okay. Or I'll give it to. So the people who are not working and you have to submit by Saturday morning. People who are working, they can submit by Saturday end of the day. Okay. Clear, everyone? So the types of transformations we have in DS. Then we focused on. We got the data from ECC. We created multiple projects. One from ECC, one from Microsoft. We created multiple jobs. In job, we have multiple data flows, then you have multiple tables, multiple targets. This is everything we have an understanding. We use query transformations, we use case transformations in detail, right? Onagada. And we got the data into HANA, we got the data from ECC to HANA as well as Microsoft to HANA. So that is it from bots, and actually bots perspective, only these four transformations left over. You just work on those four transformations. So under what I'm not saying you will be an expert on BODS now, but at least whatever required for a HANA consultant, you have all the knowledge on BODS. Okay, you have all the knowledge. Okay, you have the knowledge of BODS that is required for a HANA consultant. SLT you will be an expert guys because You have understanding over all the options. But BODs is a very huge thing. Okay, you don't have the entire option. So you got the things what you require, right? Now I'll go for the next part of this. Okay, data provisioning. What is that? I just go for now smart data access. In short, I call it as SDA, smart data access. This is simply, guys, it's like a virtual loading. Smart data access is completely virtual loading. So we go with the new part. We're done with SLT. We're done with data services. Now we're going with next thing, that is smart data access. So copy this, please. We focus on virtual tables today completely. Copy this, please. Shouldn't let me know. So we start with this. Till now we have idea of two types of tables, and row store tables and column store tables, right? Now you will understand the third type of table, that is a virtual table. You guys copied? Okay. A smart data access. Simple. And then the next future type of future loading. And right now, projects తక్కువ ఉన్నాయి smart data, but in future SAP investing a lot on smart data. And so future it will be almost equivalent to SLT level calculation. Okay. Smart data access. What do you mean by smart data access? What is the difference between smart data and SLT? Guys, SLT and BODS are replications and are real replications. Means physical replications. You'll get the data and physically into into HANA system. అవునా కదా? The data will be loaded physically. So whatever the records you have here, that will be loaded into the HANA systems and with SLD or data services. But whereas with smart data, there is no physical loading. No physical loading with smart data. Okay, data will be read from the source system. Will be read from the. This is the remote data system. That will be the source system. And you have a table here. Suppose this is a some Microsoft system. I have some tables in Microsoft. What we do is using smart data access, we create a virtual table here. The same table will be created as a virtual table in HANA. The same table. You can see my cursor. This table will be created as a virtual table in HANA. So once it was created as a virtual table in HANA, and if anyone try to access this table, if anyone try to access the data of this table, what does this table do means it will hit the source table. It will hit the source object and table in that object and try to read the data, not load. It will not load at all. And there is no data loading into HANA at all in smart data. Okay, it will try to read the data from the source object and show it in the output here, and show it in the show it as output. And once you close it again, the data is dropped. Okay, so data will be read from the source tables during query execution. Query execution in the sense, if you click on the table and say open content, that's a query. That's a query. I want to see something. Okay, and for suppose you created an analytic or calculation on top of this virtual table. If anyone comes and executes the calculation view, again it has to hit this table, right? Okay, so again the data will be read from the source table during query execution. Is it clear, everyone? So there is no physical loading into HANA using smart data access, and data will be read from the source tables during query execution. Write it down. Copy paste. There is
So Satya, it means like it's acting like an in-memory database.
okay. For suppose only structure application, no data. Smart data. Write it down. This. Copy this. Smart data access. Okay. There is no physical loading of data into the HANA system. There is no physical loading of data into the HANA system. In smart data access, there is no physical loading of data into HANA system. In brackets, you can write unlike SLT and BFDS. Unlike, open a parenthesis, write unlike SLT and DS and close the parenthesis. There is no physical loading of data into HANA system. Data will be read from the source table during query execution. Data will be read from the source system tables. Data will be read, not loaded. Data will be read from the source system tables during query execution. During query execution. So there is no physical loading of data into the. There is no physical loading of data into HANA tables. Data will be read from the source system during query execution. So this is what we call it as smart data accessing. So how do you read the data? How do you create the virtual tables, etc. So because the tables were always virtual tables. Okay, write it down. The tables loaded under smart data access were virtual tables. No real tables. Real tables, I think you'll get the data, right? Okay, the tables loaded will be virtual tables. The tables loaded will be virtual tables. In parentheses, you can write only structure, no data. Virtual tables have only structure, no data at all. Only structure, no data. Okay, so that is what we have with the smart data accessor. So now, how do you
Satya,
connect remote source system? Will focus on how do you connect a remote source
sorry,
system,
Satya.
and then how do
Satya,
you replicate a virtual table, and how do you read the data from the source system? Yes, someone asking some questions.
yeah, I mean, you were telling like we will be creating only the structure in the virtual table, correct?
Not creating.
So what is the, no, I mean, like as per your previous statement, we will be creating only structure, no data
Yes.
on virtual table, right?
Yeah.
So without data, if we create a structure, will that be a meaningful thing?
And it's not a creation. Uh, we're not creating a virtual table, Satish. Even the virtual tables are loaded from remote system. Let me show. Let me show. You'll get an understanding. See you guys now. We'll go with smart data. So I just go to my HANA Studio. So there I go to the provisioning folder. As we have a catalog, content, and provisioning. All the database objects under catalog folder, all modeling objects under content folder, and all data loading objects under provisioning folders. In the provisioning folder, you have smart data access, and if I double click on that, you can see how many tables, how many queries has been executed. I'll show you out. Okay. So now you have the remote sources, guys. You have hell lot of remote sources, and in Nondo general real time you see one or two max, because everyone has created their own remote source here. Guys, the system from which you want to replicate the data. Now you're in data provisioning and you want to replicate data from different systems into HANA. Am I correct? So now the system from which you want to see the data will be added as a remote system. ECC will be a remote system. ECC can be remote source, or MS SQL can be remote source. Oracle can be remote source. And the system from which you want to read the data will be added as a remote source. Okay, clear? Clear, guys? So our remote source parameters are given here. If you go to the access details notepad, you go to the access details notepad, and here you can see in the end smart data access. You can see smart data access. Like if you want to connect Oracle, your Oracle system present as a remote source, these are the connection parameters. If you want to connect the MS SQL system to the database, this is the connection parameter. Guys, unfortunately, even the Oracle system T7 server bulk and server became very slow and is hanging due to Oracle database. We removed it. So right now we have only MS SQL. So now I just want to show this. I want to get these MS SQL tables into HANA using Smart Data Access. Okay, clear. Now source system will be MS SQL. That means remote source is MS SQL. So I want to create a new remote source. I right click on the remote sources tab. So take the option now new. What is it saying new? Remote source. Create a new remote source. I just give the source name as MS SQL underscore 38. That is the remote source name. ಅದು ರಿಮೋಟ್ ಸೋರ್ಸ್ ಪಕ್ಕ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ನೋಡಿ. In the adapters, here you can see There's a lot of adapters. And if you're connecting ASC database, then it is ACODBC. If you're connecting Teradata, if you're connecting Sybase IQ, then this is the adapter name. If you're connecting HANA to HANA, this one. Hadoop to HANA, generic ODBC. If you're connecting Oracle, if you're connecting Microsoft SQL, so then you have to collect this adapter name. If you're connecting Netezza, DB2, MaxDB, Hadoop, okay, Aura. So there are a lot of adapters. Kada. So now if you're connecting MS SQL system to HANA database as the remote source, what is the adapter? You have to pick MS SQL generic ODBC. Am I correct? Avuna kada? So I taken the adapter name is MS SQL generic ODBC. You can choose call. If you go to this adapter is what is the adapter he asked us to pick? MS SQL generic ODBC. Am I correct? So I'm adding and I'm going with smart data access and first I given the some remote source name and this one adapter name. Uh, then server is 2012 server only. Then what is the data source name? And it is asking for data source name. Data source name కూడా ఇక్కడ ఇచ్చారు చూడండి. MS SQL underscore HANA. Data source name is if I give it as MS SQL underscore HANA, what happens is I give the data source name. Then what I provide, I just provide the username. Okay, so I give the username, password. See here guys, I just taken the adapter name, then I given the data source name, username and password and say now take the option called execute. Execute your remote source. What is it saying? Remote source has been successfully created. Okay. Sometimes ఏంటంటే యూజర్ నేమ్ ఎప్పుడు లోవర్ కేస్ లో ఇవ్వండి, అప్పర్ కేస్ లో ఇవ్వద్దు. అప్పర్ కేస్ ఇస్తే ఎర్రర్ త్రో చేస్తుంది యూజర్ నేమ్. పాస్వర్డ్ ఇస్ HANA@NH. That's it. Okay. Clear. Now what did I do? First step, I went to the remote sources and added the Microsoft system as a remote source. Okay, clear everyone in the class? Advaina? I just added the Microsoft system as a remote source for HANA. So where I can see that system? Here you can see MS SQL underscore 38. Your remote source has been successfully created. Avuna kada? Right? Advautundandi? So first step, what did I just added my Microsoft system as a remote source. So once I add this Microsoft system as a remote source, what I do, I just click on plus. You see HANA and HANA in the content data source name is MS SQL underscore HANA. And what I given this data source and I given the database as HANA. HANA in your and if I go to the Microsoft system now, just a minute, please. Just a minute, please. Okay. So just log into the Microsoft system once. See here. So in the databases, I given the access for only HANA database. Here you can see. In HANA Studio, in the MSS transfer 38, you can see a HANA database. If you click on plus, you can see all the tables in that HANA database. ఇది డేటా సోర్స్ ఏంటంటే కాన్ఫిగరేషన్ లెవెల్లో క్రియేట్ చేస్తాం. ఓకే, అంతే అనుభవించండి. So you can see MSS consulting that you can access the, and in this system you can access the HANA database. This database guys, this one you access this. Okay, and there you have DBO is the user. You go to DBO, you can find a lot of tables. These all are the tables, right? These all are the tables present in your MS SQL system, but HANA database. Out of which I want this customer table into HANA, or I just want this billing table into HANA. I want the billing table into HANA, and see here. So what I do is right click and say now take the option as add as virtual table. Now add this table as a virtual table into HANA. Step 1, I created a remote source system. Step 2, I went to that system. Okay, that system is having only access to HANA database. And while designing the data source itself, see here, while designing the MS SQL HANA database, HANA data source, I given the access only to the HANA database. Okay, don't ask me how do we design. That's a very high level scenario. It's none of our business. Admin useful. Okay, so now you right click on the system and say now take the option as add as virtual table. So I'm just adding it as a virtual table. In which schema? What is our schema, guys? HANA 38 or HANA 36? This is our schema, right? HANA 38. I'm going to add in our schema. Add it as virtual table. So what I'm saying it is MS SQL underscore 30. I just give the table name as virtual table name as MS SQL underscore billing. Okay, underscore VT. VT means virtual table. Okay, I just give some name for the virtual table, and I'm going to create that virtual table under schema HANA 38 and take the option of create. Say okay. So once we create, guys, now I go to the schema HANA 38 here. You go to the schema HANA 38. In the tables you can find all our normal tables, and here you can see green symbol. That means it's a virtual table. Green symbol indicates it is a virtual table got using Smart Data Access. So whatever with the table we created, you can see it under your MS SQL underscore billing underscore VT table taken from MS SQL underscore 38 remote source. అర్థమవుతుందా? అంటే now you got this table as a virtual table. Did we load the data? Did we load any data? లేదు. But guys, if you right click on say now open definition, you see the structure of this table. Fine. Okay, now if you right click and say now open content, and if I say open content, that means I'm executing a query. Avuna kada? A query into select star from this table. Avuna kada? If I say open content, what will the statement executed in the background? Select star from this table. So means that is nothing but a query. That is nothing but a query. A query will be executed now. Once a query was executed, what happens? That data will be read from the remote source table. And I told you the data, there is no data present in HANA. Data will be read from the remote source tables during query execution. Now I'm executing a query. Open content means a query. Simple. Avuna kada? Because its backend select statement will be executed. Avuna kada? Yes or no? If I say open content, backend select star will be executed. Say open a query now. Open content. There you can see select statement has been executed. Select star from this, and you can see the data. Did I load any data? No. But still I'm seeing the data because it's reading the data from the remote source during query execution. Clear? Advaina? First you add the system as a remote source. Then what are the tables you want into HANA? You add them as virtual tables. So any user comes and right click on the table and say open content. They will automatically see the data in it. But data was not stored. But still they see the data because data will be read from the source system during query execution. During query execution. Clear everyone in the class? అర్థమవుతుందా ప్రతి ఒక్కరికి? Everyone sitting in the classroom. The people sitting in online. Is it clear?
Yes, Satya. And this data will be, let's take if we create a new record now on the table. So will that data replicated to this table, Satya?
Yeah, I'll do that. See, as it is reading, so every time we have a new
Right.
record, that will be automatically seen because every time it will hit the source table. Every time it will hit the source table. So now what I do is see here.
Now let's take if we insert a new row or update the existing row, right? So in that case, like
See,
we will be getting that refreshed data.
I'm writing a new row. Okay, in the Microsoft system.
Mm-hmm.
Executed. Again run the select statement. Now you see this record has been inserted, right? 1008. Satya, yes or no? The last record.
Yes.
Now if you go to the HANA table, refresh it. If you refresh again the query execution, am I correct? Or I show it again, close it off. Right click and say open content. Again the query was executed. Again the data has to be read from the source system.
Okay.
Okay. So every time you execute the query, the data will be read from the source system always. The data will always read from the source system only. How many times execute? Because once you read the query, you're not getting the data into HANA table. Guys, even though you see open content, you see the data, but you are not physically storing in your virtual tables. The data, once you close it, the data is dropped from HANA. I don't say dropped. It's not even there. We're just reading. We are not loading into HANA. Please understand. Data will be read from source system during execution, not data will be loaded. We are not loading into HANA. We are just reading from HANA. Sorry. We are reading into HANA, not we're loading into HANA. Clear? Everyone in the class? As we are reading every time from source, whenever you have a new record, that will be obviously seen. Ante kada? It's like a real-time.
Okay.
It's like a real-time reading, not real-time replication. You're not replicating. It's like a real-time reading of data. Okay, everyone in the class. So for suppose guys, on top of this virtual table, I created a calculation view or analytic view. I created a analytic or calculation. I'm not done with it. Next part is modeling only. I created an analytic or calculation view. If any end user comes and clicks on the calculation view, they see the data of calculation view, the calculation will obviously hit the virtual table, and this virtual table will hit the remote source and read the data and show it in the output of calculation view. Okay, everyone, is it clear? In the future, I'll create a calculation view also on top of this. Other than that, even if you create a calculation view, if you click on the calculation view for output, so that will hit the virtual table will hit the remote source table and try to read the data from the remote source table and show it as calculation outputs. Clear everyone in the class? Okay. So suppose on top of calculation I had a report. I had a reports on top of a calculation view. So if any end user comes and click on the report, what does it do? It will hit the HANA. HANA will hit the remote source and read the data from the remote source and show it as output. Okay, everyone, is it clear? So this is what we call it as virtual loading, and the tables we use were virtual tables. No physical data present in these virtual tables. I'm coming. Clear? Everyone in the class? Should I add one more virtual table? Suppose I have bank details, I just add it as virtual table. I just add it under schema. Under 38. Write the table as bank and details. Say create. Now the virtual table will be created. There you can see, guys, in your schema, you can see bank underscore details. Virtual table is created. Right click and say now open content. You see the data. Okay. What are the data you have in Microsoft? You can see it here. Try to check it. Bank details table. Here you have the bank details table. Right click and say select top 1000 rows. You see the same data. Am I correct? Whatever the data you have in Microsoft, you can see it in HANA. Yes, because you're reading data from the Microsoft system into HANA. Okay. Otherwise, then smart data. Everyone in the class. Simple, guys. First, we add the system as the remote source system. Then what we do, we add a virtual table out of which all the tables. What are the tables you require in HANA? You add them as virtual tables. And if you say open content, the data will be read from there. And once you close it, the data will be gone from HANA straight away. Okay? Clear? Okay. So now we go with the next part, that is advantages and disadvantages with smart data access, and in which scenarios we use the smart data access. Guys, if things happen, if you are okay, willing, I'll go with that. Otherwise, if you're exhausted, I'll take it tomorrow. Huh?
Hey Satya, Preeti here. Can we continue the same part tomorrow? It's already 9:15.
Okay.
Actually, I need to leave, Satya. That's
Okay.
why I'm asking.
Sure, no issue. So,
Okay, thank you.
of here, tomorrow we go with the advantages, disadvantages of smart data, in which scenarios we use the smart data, and I try to get the smart data from ECC also. I'll try, and I'm not sure connection. Okay, if it works, fine. If it doesn't work, I'll show you the path. That's it. Okay, by tomorrow
Okay.
we'll close off the smart data part. Friday it will be modeling and HANA modeling straight away. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Satya. Have a nice day.
Thanks, Preeti.
आधी झाला बघ ना सुरुवात करून करतो बाई ह्याची चुकी आहे ना